Hello, and welcome to this short video demonstrating the correct setup of your workstation at home. When we look at your workstation at home, we look at the materials and equipment such as your desk or work surface, your chair, your display screen or multiple screens, your keyboard and mouse, and axillary equipment such as headset, printer, footrest, wrist rest, and more. Not only do we look at your equipment and setup, but we also look at the overall work environment where we take into consideration that you have a suitable temperature, that you're free from noise and distractions, and that the ventilation in your space is adequate. There are no trailing cables and leads, and no overloaded electrical sockets, and the housekeeping is intact. A poor workstation setup of your display screen equipment can lead to upper limb disorders, including visual strain, which can be developed from a poor posture, lack of movement, repetitive strain, or a poor working environment. When setting up your chair, we look to achieve 3 90-degree angles. That's from shoulder to hip to knee, and knee to foot. We then want your 2 feet to be firmly resting on the floor, and if not, that you install and use a footrest. We also look to make sure that you have at least 2 to 3 fingers of space between the back of your knee and the chair itself, and that the chair can tuck neatly in towards your desk or work surface. Now that you're correctly seated in your chair, we're going to look at your monitors. So tuck yourself nicely in towards the desk, preferably with armrests underneath the desk. We will first of all test to see that the screens are the correct distance away from you, which should be your arm's length away with fingers extended. Once this is done, you're going to check that they're at the correct viewing height. Your vision should land in the top third of the screen, which may mean that you need to raise a laptop screen quite significantly if this is in use. If dual monitoring at a ratio of 50-50, the 2 frames should meet directly in front of you. Also be vigilant that the brightness, color, and contrast is correct for you, and that where windows are present, they may cause glare, that you have a blind or curtain that you can pull if the sun should be shining directly on your screen. It's always recommended that you work with a freestanding mouse and keyboard with your display screen equipment. Position both of these tools so that your lower arm can rest up onto your work surface, while the elbow is off of it, just like good table manners. Try using your upper arm and shoulder instead of reaching or moving with the wrist itself. This is not a great grand gesture, just a small, lighter movement that allows the larger muscles to do the work. Avoid putting pressure down onto your wrists or lifting them up, and as such leaving a gap between the work surface and the desk itself. Sometimes these type of wrist postures may require a wrist rest. There are a few more tips for your at-home workstation. Remember that everything is within reach. For example, don't overreach for your headset every time you have to make a call. All cabling should be routed to the nearest power source and not left trailing. No power socket should be overloaded, and ensure that you maintain good housekeeping around your workstation at all times. Now, take a few moments to study this setup and ensure that your workstation aligns to these requirements. 1. Make sure that you're free from noise and distractions, that the ventilation in your space is adequate. There are no trailing cables and leads, and no overloaded electrical sockets, and the housekeeping is intact. 2. When setting up your chair, achieve 3 90-degree angles. That's from shoulder to hip to knee, and knee to foot, with your feet being firmly resting on the floor. 3. Your screen is the correct distance away from you, which should be your arm's length with fingers extended. Your vision should land in the top third of the screen. 4. Work with a freestanding mouse and keyboard with your display screen equipment. Try using your upper arm and shoulder instead of reaching or moving with the wrist itself. Working from home can lead to both mental and physical ill health. However, by simply applying correct ergonomic principles demonstrated in this video and following some of the tips for your physical and mental well-being that are here to come, you will reduce the likelihood of such ill health. Working from home can lead to both mental and physical ill health. We will reduce the likelihood of eye strain or upper limb disorders, which can be generated from poor posture, repetitive movements, or an unsuitable working environment. Minding yourself in an ergonomic setup is very important, so do ensure that you take postural breaks for at least 1 minute for every 30 minutes of the day. Also, take your visual breaks. Remember the 20 to 20 to 20 rule. Every 20 minutes, look 20 feet in the distance for 20 seconds. Also, make sure that you take mental health breaks. Go for a walk, read a book you enjoy, or simply virtually catch up with a colleague over a cup of tea or coffee, with the only rule being no work talk. Even when working from home, it's important to continue to treat it like the job it is. So get up in the morning, set the alarm, prepare yourself as you would for any other workday, and keep your routine. Plan out your workday with your manager and team members, and regularly report on progress. Make sure you take your breaks and take them away from your designated workplace, even in your home. But avoid letting domestic chores distract you from being productive. There are further ways in which you can be proactive. So, if you need more support, call or email your health and safety department to arrange for a DSE assessment for your at-home workstation. Report if you're feeling any pains, aches, or discomforts, including eye strain, which you believe may have been caused or made worse by your workstation at home, and ensure that you make use of your organizational services for well-being, your occupational health programs, EAP, or mental health response services, if deemed necessary. Thank you for taking the time to watch this short video about your ergonomic setup at home. We would now like you to complete this short checklist to evaluate your at-home workstation. If you have any questions, you can contact us on info@modig.ie or dial 061-704-400.